kuchingamidza kupodcast yeZIMURA. Tauya zvakare kuti timbotaura nyaya dze-intellectual property. Panapa tina Poshi, who's a musician, both a musician and a lawyer, and then tina Moodha, and we have our deputy director at ZIMURA, Mkoma Henry. So we want to have a discussion. Obviously, the discussion has been ongoing about nyaya dziri kuitika muma streets. Saka I think andisida kunyanyotaura regai tingotangira pana Poshi timbonzwa just his perspectives on things to do with intellectual property, zviri kuitika muZimbabwe, ZIMURA, and that kind of thing. Royalty collections also.
Okay, thank you for having me. Well, like you said, I'm a musician and I'm also a legal practitioner. Yes, registered with the High Court of Zimbabwe. I'm recently joining ZIMURA. To be a part of the movement, my composers. So nyaya ZIMURA, well, inenda yangoenzwawo pa social media ichingotenderera ikaita noise kadi. Well, I have to confess kuti I'm caught in the web because ndiri mumwe wevanhu vanoperforma, and not only was I performing my own compositions, but tinenge tichiona music yevamwe vanhu yatinenge tichisangana nayo, partly because you love the music yourself and you want to perform it, and also because panzvimbo dzatinoperforma mapatrons ari papo ndo zvaari kudawo. Yes, so as ma-artists ari kukura, you have your own songs, but it's difficult for one to quickly appreciate kuti okay, uyu ndo artist wedu, iyi ndo music yake, especially when the music is not frequently on rotation pa radio. So pakupedzisira uchazongona vanhu vanoti chimboro akamacheso, chimboro akaningi. I think the subject debate race erore. So well, from a legal perspective, the understanding of intellectual property, it encompasses a lot of things. Zvakafana copyright, I think, which is the subject debate. Kune zvinhu zvakafana ma-patent, ma-inventions. But mostly maybe we're focused on nyaya copyright, which is covered under the Copyright Law and Copyright and Neighboring Rights Act. Yes, and define act iyoyo kuti chinonzi copyright chi. So copyright flow from zvinhu zvakafanana ne-musical work, zvinhu zvakafanana ne-art, zvinhu zvakafanana nema-videos, ma-recordings. Yes, and understanding yangu ndeyekuti it allows only the author of a musical work to use musical work iyoyo, or to perform it, so to speak, in our case. Or kana iye asiri ari kuiperforma, that then he has to give, or she has to give authority kune mumwe munhu ari kudawo kuiperform kuti munhu iye aiperforme. And my understanding is that this is where now ZIMURA comes in, not only as a collecting society, but probably we could say as a regulator or as a board rinomiririrawo ma-composers, where someone wants to perform musical work yemumwe munhu, ZIMURA comes in to say this person is a member of ZIMURA, and in the protection of his copyright or her copyright, trikuti susu people must recognize copyright yemunhu by doing this and that.
Yeah, I like pane point yamaburisa yekuti ma-patrons kuma-venues ndo vari kupusha kuti paitwe ma-covers, because they'll be like, I don't know you, I don't know your music. Which is a very important point, because zviri kuitika futi ndezvekuti those same patrons are taking advantage now, because they are saying, inini kuti ndihaye Japraiser, I can't hire Japraiser, I can't afford Japraiser, but I'll get a cover artist, or I'll get an upcoming artist, and I'll say to them, pauchaita pipe unditiro zvakati. Which brings us to the point where there was noise and people were saying, no, venues should be paying, but my venues actually do pay, but my venues actually the ones also were pushing for things. Ndoda kuenda ona DD mongoshinza mic yenyu mumbotudza nyaya because pamakaenda kumavenue pane zvamakaona and to come to where we are at pane zvamakataura about how these things are happening, what they're paying and so on and so on.
Yes, thank you very much. But I would like to appreciate the points that has been highlighted by Poshi concerning the provisions that are in the Copyright and Neighboring Rights Act. Wataura kuti only the owner is allowed to perform and can only give authority to anyone who wants to perform. And he also said this is when ZIMURA comes in. Where we then bridge the gap between the user and the owner. So we bring convenience to the owner and to the user, because Poshi anogona kutadza kuziva kuti music yake yarequesta nani kupi, and also the user anogona kuda kushandisa music yema various artists, saka kutry kuti reach out for permission and getting all the necessary authorizations from those people, it will be difficult. So ZIMURA now bridges the gap between the owner and the user as a collecting society. And we deduct a certain percentage to cover our admin fees, and then we distribute the difference to the right holder. So yeah, I like that clarity and the fact that he is a musician, and he also understands the legal side of it. And I'm sure he also understands the business aspect of it, because as a musician, it is important for you to understand not just the gift that you have, but also how to monetize that gift, how to take advantage of the technology that is there, how you can market your music, how you can connect with other people so that you grow your brand. You spoke about the fact that as an upcoming artist, most people may not know you. So there's that need yekuti umboridzawo dzevamwe vanenge vachizikanwa, and also inogononga iri request from the fans. So as a musician, you're supposed to fadzachi matengi vedoro mafans ako. Saka when they request that song, iwewe kana uchikwanisa kuiridza, you have to perform it, but you have to do it legally. So the noise yanga ichingoitika iyai yanga ichiitika because people were also speaking from an uninformed position, vasingazivi kuti kana uchiridza almost 90% of your songs or 95%, you don't need a ZIMURA license. You just need to acknowledge the artist of the works that you are going to perform, because your content is the larger share that you are performing. But if you rely mostly 100% or 90% of other people's works, you are now prejudicing the right holders. You now need to pay. So that was only the noise that were coming and that has been circulating, because people, they don't know. And most of them who were cover bands, some of them, they've been doing this for a long time. So they thought it's now the norm, it's the right thing. But it's not. You need to pay the owner. Yeah.
Pamtemo but not ignorancia. Something exhausts no one. It says ignorance of the law excuses no one. Yeah. But it's in Latin, ignorancia judicia exhausts something. Guys, I remember doing it when I was doing banking law, because I did banking in university. So when we did banking law, I remember we actually went through this stuff.
But in a nutshell, it's ignorance.
Ignorance of the law excuses no one. Yes, there's no excuse.
So what we have discovered also when we were doing our survey in these entertainment joints is that cover bands, they start performing. They are hired from Wednesday going forward. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, sometimes Sundays. So they perform between, I think, from 4 to 5 hours on the upmarket side. And then the other side, they can perform even for longer hours. And they perform from 40 tracks going upwards, 60 or even 100, depending on number of hours they perform. Some, they just perform a track for 2 minutes, and then they bring in another song, 2 minutes, they bring in another song, and in 6 minutes they would have performed 3 tracks of different artists. And also we realized that they were being paid from $150 to above 1,000, depending on how big the cover band is and popular that cover band is.
Okay. Yeah. But manje impa makachaja 150, it means kuti vaifanga kubhadhira 150 vaisava nezero.
Yes, because the idea is not to let everyone. If you understand ZBC license, for example, they start from somewhere.
Okay.
I tangle for $5, $10 is gender, but pane entry level. If you check my license is a National Arts Council, if you check my license is a ZIMURA, pane pano tangira. So that's the entry level, because we realized that ipo papa ndo pari vazhinji vacho ndo pauri kubhadhara ma 150. So vanenge vachipiwa ma 150 waya vazhinji vachona ndio vanenge vachiperforma kunana budiriro and vachiperforma for more hours, but vanenge vachiridza music yakawanda. Apa they are being given 150. So it's a level yeku professionalize the industry. 1, 2, it's an entry level, because if you say you are going to charge them $100, someone is going to say $50. And if you go on 50, someone will say $25. But you have to start from somewhere.
Okay.
And that somewhere is justified by how much is now going to be distributed to the owner. Is it going to make sense?
Okay. Tichadzoka kwamuri pane nyaya yakanaka still, but ndoda kumupa on kuna Moodha. Moodha has been waiting for some time. I believe he's got a lot of things to share with us. Anezve kuti pakurira. Saka Moodha, talk pa mic. You can go ahead.
Nanda kutoshaya kuzoti.
Pangwale tale kumira.
My viewers vanenge vachitusaka yakutsvagea. All right, indonzi Moodha. I'm a songwriter, live band performer. I'm a musician from Zimbabwe here. I'm one of the people who decided kuiverenga on social media and not comment, because social media unogona nezvimwe zvacho. But anyway, mafungiro angu ndinozi kuti probably as ZIMURA. I don't know if you have done or if you haven't done it. I'm not educated kusaidi rosterek.
Okay.
Kuti makasvika papi mukadididi. But pane point yangu ndepekuti I think mukataura navanhu vari well traveled. There are musicians we have in Zimbabwe very well traveled. Like I've been told by one of the Mokomba guys, is my friend. Actually, no, you know what? We perform a lot of other people's songs, and we also receive mari inenge perform our songs, or even a DJ akaridza on a certain function somewhere out there. Anoridza song paanoenda kunoridza pepe anonyora a playlist yake.
Sure.
Anyora playlist yake andorona pana Poshi ndiani songi, pana Mutukudzi ndiani songi, Andy Brown, Thomas Mapfumo, whatsoever. The venue inobhadhara mari idzodzo. But mari idzodzo, what he was saying was kuti haisi mari yekuti tingabva taisa. I'm not saying that it's too much, I'm not saying that it's less, but I'm saying that what people are complaining about the most, I think you will agree with me that it was the figure 150 per show.
Event. Yes.
So he was saying that per event venue inotobhadhara meno macents mangani. Pane macents anobhadharwa, but not naartist, but nevenue. Chaartist kuto acknowledge no tine madhara edu aya.
Yes.
Madhara edu akati nyorera song a hit song, it was madhara edu aya. Va appreciate an acknowledgement, unless now wakuda kunoita re-record that song. Ndopo unoenda kupakari paya kubvunza kuti edu ndomboitawo dandi ndasowa dandi. Ndochifambisa sei vowirirana ikoko. But if it is performing, because like you were saying, Kuti, do you know Kuti, in Zimbabwe, I don't know if I would call it, let me not call it that. In Zimbabwe, my musicians, we are not well paid unless you push through on your own. Kutunzi wazosvika pa level rinana mudhara wedu macheso, ana japreza, ana tuku, unless you push to that level, you are not recognized anyway. Like munhu atotanga kundoona izvezvi zvichisvika paclub bake nomuzati no ndinoridza magitara nzi noridza kuti chii tanondoridza mudhara kutoputsa foni ndoma ndotoputsa foni ndano mudhara ndakatoburidza uko wandimona so obva saka kuti unoita mari pashow yo obva wati ndoda, let's say what ndoda 300 handini obva nzi 300 totoipa ana signal already watoudzwa nzi mari iyoyo haisiri iyo yaunofana sei yaunofana kuwana handiti. So from there ndopanonzi shamwari iwe uchiuya necd rako wauya necd rako tokupa $100 kana $150 no ndine bendi onzi no kana usiri kukwanisa even nebendi racho it's okay endako apa uda kurarama right. Saka uchaenda paipe ne$150 waenda mari dza muri 7-8 chidistributa imari kuti vanhu vebendi vaende vanoraramawo, then from there mochisara ne$150 iri kufanira kubhadharwa uku.
I like wanyatsa kutaura ma-practical examples and practical facts. Experience yataurwa the guy mukomba guy kuti kunze vanozvifambisa sei. We can only take a leaf from there, but we look at what our law says.
That's
and also if I can also add, Kuti, you notice, Kuti, when venues in the West deal with payment, they pay an annual fee, which is a very substantial fee, which venues here are not willing to pay. So there's a challenge with the informality of our music sector, because I'm not going to one event a year as a musician.
Sorry.
I'm coming. No, I wanted to come to the point of saying that. So you see, Kuti, I had the privilege. I did an event. Paganitsa nyema 150. The deputy director knows because I came and paid my 150. I actually sing more of my own music. If you look, I was given a spreadsheet to write the songs that I performed. I performed Andrew Brown, In the Jungle, whatever. But the thing is, I understood where ZIMURA was coming from in terms of the informality of our sector. To say, me as an artist, as Tinashe Mkaba, not gonna one event, yandinowana, like one big paying event a year, or maybe 2 or 3. If I get an event that's paying me $3,000 and then do badara $10 for music, the question is there something substantial that is going to go to the right holder in terms of royalties in relation to me making money from somebody else's music. Though me personally, I'm not an artist that does other people's music. But like we all understand, you can get a client who tell you, Inini, my client also wanted a lot of international music, so I did a lot of international music as well. And the client will tell you, Kutisha, I like your music, but you can't do all your music. So the question is, at law, how are you going to go to an event and do at law? That is the question. In relation also to Zimbabwean law, which is quite a complicated issue, but I bring it back to you. Now, I'm going to go power that perspective as well as a musician, but I bring it back to you guys.
I realize that maybe we're running out of time.
Yeah.
This now burning on my part.
Please go ahead.
Well, like I said, in imagine then if you say this, then someone will say, but so anyway, issue yangu inini maybe chandakaona sekuti chakakonzeresa kuti vanhu vaite noise. You see, mostly it's to do with how the information was disseminated. Ndezvekungomuka and you're on social media and then you're like, 150 zvikubva kupi? I think those zvakakonzeresa. And also I'm trying to think of ZIMURA, relationship with ZIMURA nema radio stations. How does ZIMURA collect from radio stations? Does ZIMURA charge radio stations, or radio stations are the ones that charge ZIMURA, or for ZIMURA? I think ndopa mukane debate kuti this artist now is saying, inini maundi charge kuti ndipe for me. But kuredio imi munotongoudziwa kuti tinokubhadhira mari yakati. And you have accepted.
Yeah, can I respond to that?
Yes.
This is business.
Yes.
And when ZIMURA was established by music composers, we are selling a product.
Yes.
There's no way we can allow the user to charge because we know we've got our service.
So is it BC? I see you're not charging. Do you not charge as a BC?
It's us.
All right, that's good. That's good clarity.
And it's also in the Copyright and Neighboring Rights Act under Section 2 interpretation section. It talks about licensing schemes. Who develops those licensing tariffs? It's us. And it's us who then goes to ZBC and then say, we see that National FM, you perform 90% or 70% music, 30% other content. So with our model, you are supposed to pay a percentage of so much. So it's us who comes up with the licensing tariffs. We don't allow but on the other side, where the Moodha was talking about kuti the cover band rinosvika wotaura kuti inini we are a band or I'm a solo artist, and then the owner of the venue says 300 ndiyatinotopa wananingirikeni. So who is in charge there of charging is the owner of the venue. Ndiyatotaura kuti no mari yautaura iyowa totopa wananhingi. And sometimes vanogona ngo achitonyepa but ada ngoti udzikise price yako and ukangobvuma 150 and then akutoziva kuti okay saka umwe ndogona kumuti $100. Iye haana basa kuti mazopefuma muri wangani, mazoita sei and chicha pakuzogowana at the end of the day. But music yaridzwa apa for how many hours ndeyani, and are those people going to benefit out of that? So it's about turning the tables. Who is supposed to charge who?
Also ndine mubvunzo pane zvandambonzwa ndimune mamutsanangura mukati mavenue anotaka sekuti anoramba kubhadhara mari iyoyo.
Oh, I was saying our informality in Zim in terms of live performance. And when we go in the world, we know that our venues, different venues, but our venues are totally focused on live performance. You can go on the Royal Hall and and these people are paying. Also with the functioning economies, where we have venues that are paying a background music license, which is for pre-recorded music. But then when it comes kunzivonzi chibhadhara yema band, what inini handisini chi ndadana band, and you even brought a point out yekuti you are the band who goes to the venue and says ndikuda kudini kunzwa panapa. So Zimbabwean situation yedu itori very peculiar. Of course pane mutemo,
but the act is Christian.
No, handisikuramba mutemo ndikuti who should pay.
Who should pay?
Handisikuramba
Not the venue, but the person who is doing the performance.
But Hendrika, if a venue wants to pay for me, there's no problem. If I tell my client, could, but those are root out my clients do. Our venues and our clients do not want to pay this amount, because ndopanozoya nyaya yatikambotaura in another podcast yekuti we have a lacking kuzimu, because kuZimbabwean Musicians Union ndo vanhu vangachifanga kuita fight for better pay, so that even if I'm getting better pay, I won't cry about 150. Because if I am getting a gig that's giving me 10,000, why should I be worried about $150 for copyright, which is just an operational expense? In business, you've got operational expenses. But the situation in Zimbabwe is we actually have an abnormal situation that is making it difficult for people, and people will not be compliant, which is why you need to have mapurisa mustreet kuti ndakambotaura pane imwe podcast ndikati ndichidriver ndichimuka ndichitodriver unotoona mapurisa kana usina kubhadhara unomiswa uendeswa paside, because this is the kind of situation we have in Zimbabwe. We've got no respect for a lot of things, intellectual property, even I don't want to also get into nyaya dzezibc because it's going to be political. Yes. No. He's going on with his point.
My point was, if the venue says no, I used to run a rehearsal studio in town, 2014, 2015. It was opposite Herald House. I remember ZIMURA guys coming in telling me that I should pay a certain amount because I'm dealing with music.
Rehearsal studio.
Where bands come in and fix their act for their shows. So I still have that car. I'll send it to you.
Or invoice.
My point is not on the studio. My point is, are you guys lenient somehow when you get to these venues? It's okay, just leave them.
That's a good question.
Because what I think, if it's the law, it has to be the law.
Yes.
Because if you say then, because the venue is bigger than me. And Alliance Francais right now. Alliance is bigger than me. So if you get 150 from me, and Alliance, you know, in this economy, as you've mentioned just now, the economy somehow we are doing hustle and what to survive.
Yes.
So an artist will not be able to give you that $150. But anyway, to the people who write music.
Yes, the music composers, yes.
Also, they have got the right to benefit from their work.
Yes.
If somehow you come up with a very good and nice strategy that is comfortable with musicians of nowadays, and the families of those who started music before us, and get the right amount, as in where is it coming from, where is it coming to ZIMURA, each is the rightful owners whatsoever. Let it be something very balanced. You get it? Because if you say 150 per gig, mukaona mamwe matoza anorowa nema-musicians kuti akabuda akadai anoti akati ruwa anditi oti mutare uri marondera oti chipinge haisi nyaya yekuti mashows aya anodiwa stereki, hakuna munhu asingadi kuzorora after work. But nyaya yekuti ukaona kuti ukaridza mumarondera chitodzoka mariyo haikwani. You get it? So playing all those shows kuda kuti mari ite sei?
Yes.
Ikwane tikwase kuona zvinokwanisa kuti tite comfortable. Saka mari idzi mukaverenga pamashows ngakungoti 5 times 150 anoti inenge iri mari mocalculate. Then from there motora from artist vanosara vachidyiwa ma apa venue aramba.
Okay.
You can just speak more. Did Moodha summarize everything?
I just needed to come in, not to respond to what he's saying, but kufunga kwangu kuti maybe we need to have a real look pamtemo wacho act yacho iyoyo because now as we speak tungotaura kuti ZIMURA zvairi kuita it's in terms of the law and they are not wrong. Maybe issue inenge yangowapo ndeyekuti 150 iri justifiable here iri justified here, but that's another issue altogether. So kufunga kwangu ini ndekwekuti when this act came into operation tinogona kunge tatisiri muira yanga yakazara macover bands.
Exactly.
So you may find out that act here is adequate in terms of addressing zvinhu izvozvo because zvanga zvisipo. Kana maingoenda kushow yeBundu Boys vaingonoridza Bundu Boys, kana maenda kwamapfumo maingonoteerera mapfumo. So isuggestion yangu inini kuti maybe we need to lobby kuti timboita have a real look at the act itself so that kufunga kwangu number 1 hatifari kunge tine mamusicians muZimbabwe vasiri affiliated to a certain society whether music yako iri kurira or haisi kurira, which means tofanira futi tichitodzokera pakunoshanda nemastudio kuti imimi as a studio mune duty rekumeka sure kuti artist wamarekodha apo tichipedza kurekodha ari affiliated number 1 so that no one is left out because now mukazvitarisa hondo itoripo iri pamamembers nemanon-members. Mukatasaona vari kunyanya kucomplain manon-members because havana chavanowana ka pazviri 150 kanzi iri kubhadharwa ndiye ari kutobudisa iye hapana chaanowana. But imagine a situation yekuti ini ndiri member ndiri kuziva kuti okay fine ndikabhadhara 150 ndikaperforma music yajaha ndikabhadhara 150 pa 150 iyo pane mari chatozodzokawo kwandiri patichanobhadharwawo tese. You see, you get the point. So number 1, that's number 1. Number 2, tinofara nge isusu tichitova neact yedu maybe tichinoirevise or to amend it to accommodate macover bands like iyayo ari kuita ma 100% music yevamwe and to the extent that kana tichiuya kuno kuZIMURA tiri kuti isusu pane registration iri kutoitwa from the onset. The registration yecover band, the fee should be more than ya artist ya composer. Muchazoona kuti hatiti problem nenyaya yekuti venue ndiyo inofanira kubhadhara here vari kuperforma ndiyo vanofanira kubhadhara here because kuma grassroots kwenyaya yedu tinogona kunge tatokava zvekuti munogona kuti hatogona kusatomboneedha kuti bhadhara when you perform because kuno kuti tikuziva kuti wagara uri kubhadhara.
Yeah, let me clarify on that. My members, they don't, they only pay registration fee once. It's a once-off payment. It will cover you the lifetime and the lifetime of the air and other guys who are going to come out when you pass on. So, Vatino license, we can license a band. Anogononga ari member yeZIMURA ase achiridza music dzevamwe and anogononga ari ngori a client to ZIMURA. Munhu anenge asiri member haacompose because ZIMURA belongs to the composers, publishers and producers of music. Saka vamwe vari kunzoko they don't compose mamwe songs avo, so vanenge vari ngori like a bar kwatiri like itori client because munhu ari ngoshandisa music isiri yake.
It's a music user.
Yeah, and the music.
Okay. So as ZIMURA, you're worried about music users and music makers.
Yes.
That's how you clarify and classify people.
Yes.
And the music users are your clients. The music makers are your bosses.
Correct.
Okay.
Because when these guys come and join, Poshi and Moodha, when they join, they give us exclusive rights to whoever wants to perform, broadcast, or do what we call synchronization, matching music with moving motions of pictures. You see, so when they give us that mandate, I then now look out for anyone who is doing those acts without their authority, and I will be standing in on their behalf and then give them permission. So the balance should be, how much is this guy getting? right? And how much is the owner going to get? Is there a balance? Is it matching? Or can the owner of the music say, I think this is a fair compensation? Can that owner be encouraged to compose more songs? So we don't need to look at it from one-sided perspective where the users is going to get less or so much. But let's look at how many people are going to be performed by that cover band and how much is going to get to those people. And some of those elements that I mentioned before, like the number of hours, the number of tracks, the number of performances that are done per week, they influence how we are going to create the tariff. Just like the way we do bars, sitting capacity of the bar or restaurant. So those are some of the elements that we then look at and then come up with.
Okay, so if I'm getting you right, Muruguti, haungaendo iconnect onoti bundle rate 250 megabytes ngarite 20 cents. Because in andiri kwanisi. The setting of tariffs has to be considered. Consider mimi, like you are saying, the owner of the music,
yes.
and all of that stuff. But wakachema kuti 150.
What we really understand, Tinashe, is that we don't want music users are our clients, and we don't want them to die.
This was
because if you overcharge them, they will stop playing music, and the owner of the music who won't benefit at the end of the day. But when we come up with a fee, we have done our research well, and we know that these guys, they will survive, and also these guys, the owners, will also survive. So we look at it from both sides.
If you sit down and plan this thing, it's not a bad thing. If you sit down and plan it, alright, fine. Because there's no way an artist pachango every time you are going to have zvikwereti zvakatowandisa tochikutanga because Mario into kwadza kubudisa. Chechi 2 ndechekuti come up with a comfortable fee, and that is going to be on a contract, maybe an artist in a venue. Okay. Rinenge turineka section ke ZIMURA. Kekutora ZIMURA pa show yedu kana tukita ma cover songs irikutora iruda a certain percentage, ngatenga tomboti kati iruda 2%. Percentage iyo inotorwa
kuma sales, market takings,
whatever.
Yes.
So that it balances. Chinofana kunzwisika from a club level or a venue level. And then choonekwa kunzi mari yacho yakambomira sei yekutorwa. Because tikati isusu tikudilaka ne 2% mozi yakutora artist na venue ndo vari to kushandisa ma songs aya. Andika imimi muri kuno collector 10% from the artist 1% from the artist, since I had said 1% from the club, from the venue. Then Marie ya performer yakanaka. Because we are to Mario and venue.
But just also to say something, according to our law, because we had an episode that we did with the Saviors, who is the head of licensing. According to our law, it says 50% is actually what should be charged. And so they actually said 150 and because when we look at events, people should actually be charged 50% according to the provisions of the law. So I think it comes back now to point on Poshi kuti maybe within our law. So ZIMURA actually said and the isusu takato transit because no, I'm telling you, we had an episode with Saviors where he explained these matters. I'm just bringing it back because I remembered it from that past episode where Saviors actually said, and I was like, so you're saying kuti 150 tori shoma, which is why 150 shoma. At the end of the day, I believe, you can't please everybody. Panufanga utozoita entry point. I think draw to anyway. I'll give it back to you. I think draw point. I'm going to try to tell Mimi. Kuti, it's business. It has to start from somewhere.
Yes.
Okay. Business. Actually, yeah. I in totally on the side of the law. I'm in agreement, and more problems. But coming to what prevails on the ground, I think nobody challenge. It's not about what the law says. Yes, because it's either munaroziva mutemo zvauri or haasi kuziva. But if you know, then you can't debate about it. Issue iripo ndeyekuti zviri paground. I'm trying to think of a situation yekuti vanhu vari kuchema ava ndo vari upcoming. And ndisu, do you also appreciate kuti ZIMURA says you come and you make a payment pre the show?
The show.
Yes.
Yes. But I'm saying kuti kana ari ma upcoming artist,
yes,
when you perform your own songs, you don't need a ZIMURA license.
No, ipapo we are in agreement. Yes.
Okay.
Someone tambodzokera kuya kutatangira kuti if you're upcoming, the next thing is zvakafanira kudaidza pamuchato. People will say, yeah, I saw your band perform rimwe day, but pamawakatokuona perform music yako. They loved it. But they will go on to say, saka munombo perform dzanavo sincuve. You get the point. Exactly because tinoda kuti muzomboita idzodzo idzo. You see,
well,
according to the client. Because when I know to kupa list yake 5 songs.
Yes.
So you can't ignore this.
The point that I was coming to was my challenge is kuma upcoming year. Mamwe acho anotoenda as far as non-payment. Because for an artist are recognized and established, my understanding is that they get deposits. Asata tombo, pavanongowirirana kushamara, inichawa zoperforma ikuku muswakati. And they sign an agreement, they get a deposit. My artists are they don't even get to a point where they sign an agreement, a written one. Should verbal. Shaman, no perform Thursday. So you also don't get paid before you go and perform. In the tournament situations, I'm talking from experience. Yes. Where after performance, and venue shamara sales. You see, so apa you fara kupiwa 150. Right, venue owner already ari kutandirect ma sales. Kuzimura katimboti wa kombla wakatono badara 150. So at the end of the day, this is why no point I think everyone should just be registered.
What I think Posh is supposed to happen is we are supposed to have policies that regulates the venue owners in terms of kuti kana upcoming artists anofana badaro mari yakati period per show.
On that one,
kanari badaro
or a range. Yes.
Kanari pa middle class anobadaro mari yakati. Kanari top artist anobadaro from mari yakati zvichienda mberi.
Yes.
Zvinoita kuti at least pasave ne
exploitation
inconsistencies that we are talking about. But we don't have that law. We don't have those provisions as
we actually need them. Yeah. I'm looking at it from a law society point of view. Legal practitioners, they don't just charge. There's a tariff which says 0 to I think 11 months or 12 months experience. This is the range. You charge from $50 per hour maybe to $75 per hour. 1 year, 1 month to maybe to 2 years. You charge from $75 per hour to I think that could actually help. Yes.
They will correct all these issues that you are talking about. So the challenge that we have is the artist ndiye anenge ari on the receiving end ari kunoperform ari kutoenda achitogwadama the venue owner. We see it happening panouya ma-international artists koita ma-supporting artists
kutori kuri ikoko kuma-international artists kutori kuri kusikatoiti kutoenda uri wega kubhawa kwacho kuclub kwacho kuvenue kwacho we've faced a lot of things kusvikatato vamwe vatonini mukati because unosvika they all don't know you. Oh, yeah, you look like an artist, Joshua.
Unobva chimboya umboperforma ka1 mahara tichiona and you are supposed to perform 90% yemakava.
Yeah, I think if I can come to that, our time is what is run out. But I think this comes to the standardization of the industry. And now, this is because ZIMURA is not a union. This comes to where we do not have the musicians union doing their job. The musicians union, their job is to fight for better pay.
Yes.
But what is happening is the musicians union is fighting ZIMURA. Instead of going to the venue owners and saying, venue owners, we are exploiting Moodha, who is an upcoming artist, because the entry level fee for Moodha should be $300 or $200.
Or unions in Zimbabwe.
Yes, we have a Zimbabwe Musicians Union.
For example,
Zimbabwe Musicians Union.
Okay.
Story nayo. So anyway, we're out of time, but you guys raised a very important point.
Yes,
but I think the point comes to the fact that we're actually lacking in unions. And what's funny is I think will confirm that Zimbabwe Musicians Union was given offices by ZIMURA when they started, when they were a baby. They were hosted for how many years? Their offices are now.
It was less than a year though.
Okay, less than a year. Less than a year, but you hosted them and helped them to come up. But in other countries, musicians union and the collecting societies will work together. The musicians union fighting for good pay for artists, whether a cover band or whatever, and then the collecting society collecting royalties for the owners of the composers. And
just one last it's just an experience that I experienced kudhara. You know, kuti kudhara vanhu vaisi deliverywa mumudzimba umu kumalow density suburbs kwataimboshanda kudhara. Chingwa chaiu mukaka
chingwa
zvaiunzwa zvosiiwa pagedhi, munhu ozouya ozotora mari yake later manheru. Izvezvi zvakusina. It's culture yaivako nguva iyo. It does not mean kuti kwakusina mambavha, kwakusina matsotsi, dzaivako, but I think wanga wari washoma kana kuti wanga wasinga believe in that but izvezvi kungosiya mukaka panzapo hautombotora 2 minutes, chingwango chisiya panzapo hautombotora kana 30 seconds chinenge charowa pasi. Culture change ndiyo iri kutodiwa muno munyika, yekurespecta copyright, kuziva kuti kurespecta property isiri yako unofanira kubhadhara. And hakusi kuti unofanira kubhadhara through your nose, but unofanira kubhadharawo zvekuti even the owner of the property can also survive out of it, because that's the only gift inenge yakapiwa Moodha naMwari. Vamwe vanorarama nekutamba bhora, vamwe vanorarama nekuimba, vamwe vanorarama nekudzidzisa. Saka ukazotora maworks emunhu anenge ari suppose kunge achirarama nekudzidzisa, achigadzira mavideo tapes aka achita seachidzidzisa all of ari suppose kunge achirarama out of that, iwewe wongotorawo tanga kungoshandisawo futi pachena. It means that this guy is not going to benefit. Saka ndangotaura that experience kekuti at least muno munyika tinofanira kuwana that culture yekurespecta other people's property.
Yeah, we need to have a social contract. We're out of time. So, guys, remember, subscribe to the ZIMURA podcast. We'll have this conversation again. I think we should have you back in the studio.
Or something. I think we will have to.
We'll bring him back into the studio. Some studio, Moodha. Some studio. But guys, subscribe to the ZIMURA podcast. Make sure if you're an artist, you come to the ZIMURA offices and you register so that they can, take care of your music, take care of your rights, correct royalties for you. All right. Tatenda Murie Zimbabwe, tatenda.
Thank you.